All right. Hey guys. My name is Tony Arriaga. I just want to start off by saying that I genuinely believe that this class is actually a really good, it helped me out a lot. So I feel like somebody else who is trying to get their creative out but doesn't know how to do it properly because they haven't been taught the correct way. I feel like this is something that this is a class that they should take, but obviously, this is a required course for a bunch of people. I genuinely enjoyed it. I believe that a lot of the stuff that I learned throughout this course is actually pretty beneficial. I had no idea about what Wix and Canva and Google Sheets, not Google Sheets, I think it is Google Sheets. I have to look back at it, but there's a bunch of things that this course has actually taught me that I'm actually very grateful for. Before this, I didn't know actually how to set up a correct presentation. A lot of what I know from the past has been like PowerPoint and like Excel. Very little Excel, honestly. But I actually have enjoyed this whole course to this day because I actually was able to get my creative out with help, because those are things that I've never known how to do before. So a lot of what I actually took away from this class was a lot of materials. The book actually really helped a lot. Didn't know anything about copyright and how it worked. Obviously, everybody knows that, copyright is copyright. Can't really just be like, oh, I don't want to use that, or I'm going to use that without actually crediting someone. So the way they actually thought about this, I was actually able to read, which realistically, I can read, but reading and comprehending something is actually very difficult for me. So actually but I think that's just because I don't find interest in a lot of stuff when it comes to school, but I genuinely actually enjoyed this class. A lot of what I learned throughout the course is pretty much just how to set up what I want to convey to my audience. I think the only thing that I didn't like, but that's just because it's me, is I would prefer an in-person class, but I'm not allowed to do that right now considering my situation, and I actually really enjoyed how free I was able to do my course in general. I actually really appreciated how Professor Paproth, how you made these videos and actually it showed us what to do and how to do it. I feel like a lot of people don't have the they don't want to do it. So I actually really appreciate you actually showing us that, because it's something that I can actually use for my future now whenever I actually pitch a presentation or pitch a movie idea, because that's what I want to do. So that's something that I actually really took away from the class. The only thing is, obviously, dislikes is just online, but obviously with the way that COVID works now, it actually kind of changed things. Some people prefer online, some people prefer in person. I kind of prefer a mix of both. So I feel like it's actually beneficial in how my schedule's set up. And I've already said that, but I actually genuinely enjoyed it. Another thing that I actually really enjoyed from the course, another thing that I actually really enjoyed from the course is being able to talk about things that interest me, talk about things that I feel like I am going to talk about in the real world when I get my career. I feel like a lot of people don't make teaching enjoyable. I feel like this class actually made teaching or being taught enjoyable, because I actually know that that what I'm trying to speak about is something that I enjoy. The first module, the very first one that I actually enjoyed was about music. I was able to talk about music, and then you introduced me to a new artist, Phoebe Bridgers. Didn't know about her I knew about her, never listened to her music. It's kind of like I did back in freshman year when I had you before. You introduced me to The Marvelous Miss Maisel. I'm still watching it. I'm season 5 right now, the final season. Great show. So a lot of the stuff that I'm learning in this class is actually opening up my brain wider to what I was expecting. It's doing what I expected college to do. And I very much appreciate it, because it's things that, like I said, I keep repeating this, but it's genuinely something that is opening my brain and it's making me think about things that I'm going to use in my future. One thing that I actually was really surprised about was somebody like you as a professor or whoever were to be teaching about ChatGPT, because I know a lot of people would not want your students to stay by that. So I actually appreciate you telling people, it's like, look at where the future is headed. And that's actually one thing that I actually really enjoyed about the class, because it's like, all right, we're gonna have to deal with it sooner or later. So here it is in general. You're realistic, and I appreciate that, because a lot of people tend to be like very beat around, or like they tend to beat around the bush, or they tend to be very like sugarcoating about like topics like that. Okay, and another final aspect that I actually really enjoyed about the course was actually being able to see how other students came up with their ideas, because in general, I feel like a lot of people don't understand how assignments are supposed to work sometimes. So being able to like look at somebody else's work and be like, oh, okay, that's a little bit more of an understanding that I appreciated, because sometimes I can read something and it can completely register a different way. A blog piece was the main thing that I was like thinking. It's like, oh, I'm not going deep into it. Also, I appreciate the feedback that you give us on these, because it's not just like you're like, oh, here, pass, let's go. I will say though, a lot of the course is actually very helpful. Usually I would tend to think that something that's online is actually very difficult. So the way that you simplified things actually made it very intriguing to me. I feel like other students will appreciate that too. I also appreciate how you're actually, like I've already said, I probably have already said this, but you're just very real with how you talk to students, because there's people that just don't know how to get the point across directly, and I actually appreciate that a lot. So in general, like generally speaking about this course, I would recommend it to a lot of students, because it actually got my creative juices flowing when it came to writing, which is something that I actually have a lot of trouble with. But you actually were able to get me kickstarted on like an actual film project that I actually want to do, that I actually want to execute in real life. And the course in general just helped me out a lot with my writing skills. I tend to believe I'm a great writer, but a lot of this is actually, it made me feel very good at my writing skills. So in general, I very much appreciate the course, and I would recommend it to a lot of students. So I appreciate the help, and